You're at 109 right now.
All right, well, folks, it's a cold day in Los Angeles, and it's March 1st. March 1st is the day on which the Ethiopians defeated the Italians in the year 1896. Just a bit of information, historic information. So on this day, it's a celebratory day for Ethiopia because Ethiopians defeated the Italians, the colonizers. But it's also a special day for Africans as well as African Americans. For Africans, Ethiopia and also Liberia were the last two nations to be or to go uncolonized. I'm not particular about the history of Liberia, but the fact that is widely shared is that Ethiopia was the only country not to be colonized by Europe. Liberia must have fallen at some point, but Ethiopia stood. And March 1st, 1896 was the day on which the Battle of Adwa was won. All right, so there's a little bit of a history lesson for you. I'm making this video because I want to tell you 3 stories. Well, I actually, as of last week, I had another experience, so I'll tell you actually 4 stories. And these stories are related to Nipsey Hussle and 109, my book. All right. So I'm going to grab a copy and bring it in. All right. Anyhow, here's how the story goes. On this day, 4 years ago, I was in the Middle East. I was in the Middle Eastern country of Oman. I was an English teacher there, and actually it was March 31st. Well, without getting into all of the details, I've told this story many times before, but the first story goes, I was in the Middle East, I got news of Nipsey's murder, and within 1 hour of learning of Nipsey's murder, I saw 109. A truck cut me off and the license plate on the truck read 1090. I saw 109. So I will never forget that moment. I will never forget that truck cut me off, because in that moment I was saddened by the news of Nipsey Hussle's murder, as well as I was angry because this truck just cut me off. And I was in the desert. I was thousands of miles away from my family, right here in Los Angeles. So I'll never forget that moment, right? So that was the first time that Nipsey Hussle and 109 matched or coincided, or that moment is associated, the moment or when I learned of Nipsey Hussle's murder is associated with 109 because of that moment when that car cut me off. All right, that's story number 1. Story number 2 is about how I was in Sweden about 8 or 9 months ago. I was in Sweden for the first time, and I went to the museum of the Nobel Peace Prize Museum. I went to the gift store, and there was a young Eritrean woman there. And if you know about Eritrea, you know that Nipsey Hussle's father is from the country of Eritrea. So Nipsey was half Eritrean, which meant he was half African and half African American. Those are a lot of details. The story goes, I talked with this young woman at the museum gift store, and I asked her, what did Nipsey Hussle mean to you? She told me Nipsey Hussle was from my country. He was a beacon of hope for me. He was a success in America, and he showed other Eritreans that they too could be successful in America. Speaking of beacons of hope, okay, this is what this young woman said about Nipsey. The Battle of Adwa was a beacon of hope for all Africans who saw that if Ethiopia could stand or remain standing against the colonizer, that perhaps all of Africa could fight against colonialism. Okay? All right. So I spoke with this young woman, back to Sweden. I spoke with this young woman at the gift store, at the museum gift store, and then she said Nipsey was a beacon of hope, and she knew Nipsey very well. She was quite proud of him, as well as many of her countrymen. But remember, we're not in America. We're in halfway around the globe in Sweden. But Nipsey's legacy permeated the community of Eritreans and Ethiopians there. Now, as soon as we finished our conversation, I walked back into the museum I was already in the museum. I left the museum gift shop and entered the museum area, or its lobby, where a tour was beginning. And within a few minutes of that tour beginning, as the tour guide was speaking, I could see the numbers 109 right behind the tour guide. I could see it so clearly that I even asked the tour guide if I was sort of imagining what I had seen. So I asked her, hey, can you tell me what those numbers are? Because, this is bizarre.
Yeah.
In the last display over here,
yeah,
I can't see it, but is that a number? Could you read that number to me, please?
The 1934 and 109.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's the number of the nominee. So they put a number. So that's nominee number 109. That's an interesting.
So that happened. So that's the second story that associates Nipsey Hussle with 109. And then the third story, well, I'll tell you the fourth story, and then I'll come back to the third story. The fourth story, all right. Last week, the news was announced that Nipsey Hussle's murderer, Eric Holder, was sentenced to 60 years. On the day, I believe it was last Wednesday, actually, so it was 7 days ago. These numbers, I tell you. Exactly 7 days ago, when this news was released, the night I went to sleep, and I woke up that morning at 1:09 a.m. I woke up at 1:09 a.m. for some odd reason, some strange reason, and I remember taking a screenshot photo and then just maybe sending that photo to my wife. Anyhow, I didn't know what that 109 encounter meant, but as the day developed, as the day passed on, I realized that I had woken up at 1:09 a.m. on the day that Nipsey Hussle's murderer was to be sentenced, and the information went out. Of course, I wasn't expecting this news. I had no idea. It was just an interesting link, a matching of events. So there you have it. Those are three stories. So the story that happened last week, I told that one. That was actually the fourth story. Now, today, I was driving down Crenshaw Boulevard, and the reason why I saved the third story for last is because I have footage. I have video footage to show you. Well, I guess it was a year or so ago when I was driving down Crenshaw and I wanted to visit, I wanted to see Nipsey Hussle's mural, which is painted on the basketball court at a local elementary school. And when I drove by the school, I happened to notice that the apartment building that is adjacent to the school, well, the address includes 1009. So there again, there's Nipsey Hussle's mural and the number 109. What does it all mean? Well, I think that 109 has been calling me. I attract these numbers wherever I go. I seem to encounter 10 and 9, and oftentimes it's 109, just like that. And only until Nipsey Hussle's murder, sadly, did I understand maybe what my mission or what my purpose is. My purpose is to teach, and my purpose is to share, what I know. Excuse me. And what I know is this. I have a mala bead necklace. There are 109 beads on it. It's a metaphor for who I am and for my purpose. You see those 108 beads on the necklace? Those are used for prayer because 108 is a highly spiritual number, like Nipsey, a highly sophisticated human being. But there are 109 beads on that necklace because the 109th bead holds the 108 together, holds the 108 beads together. And so people call that bead, the guru bead, because it teaches and it holds together all of this other information. Well, I don't know if you believe that or not. I believe it, and it carries me forward and motivates me. And this is a project of passion, a passion project for me. Anyhow, those are my 3 + 1, my 4 stories about Nipsey and 109 and their connections. All right. And remember, today is the day that the Battle of Adwa was won by the Ethiopians over the Italians, March 1st. March is a significant month because so many things happened in March in 2019. And the events of 2019 March led me to write my book, 10-9. So I'm going to come with some more. I have a strange feeling I'm going to come with more videos about the month of March because the month of March is highly significant. And sadly, we all know what happened at the end on the last day of March 4 years ago. All right. All right. Peace and blessings. And yeah, I am 10-9 out. This is the Creed Academy. Nipsey Hussle's mural is right there on the basketball court. located at Crenshaw and 60th. There's the basketball court. It's the basketball court right there. It's a beautiful day. Look at that. Yeah, it's beautiful. That's where Nipsey's mural is right there. Beautiful sky and clouds. Creed Academy. So you've already seen all the religious insignia and everything, and so here we are coming upon the Creed Academy. This is still the Creed Academy, and this is the address 6103, and you see you have a cross here. So this is still a part of the academy, still a part of the Creed Academy. And directly adjacent to the Creed Academy is this apartment building here. The point of making this video is pointing out that this apartment here is very reminiscent for me, because that's the address. This apartment building here, right here along Crenshaw Boulevard. Yep. Yay! There it is. That's all I wanted to show you. So enjoy your day. Legend has it Nipsey applied to work at that Taco Bell about 10 times. That's Taco Bell right there, and he was rejected every time. Here at the corner of Crenshaw and 60th. I could actually wait or not.